Well, welcome back to 5 Minutes with KeRusso. I want to say again, I really appreciate you giving me this time. You could be spending your 5 minutes doing a lot of other things besides tuning into this channel. I think you'll get blessed by it. We're on this quest to understand the Bible, this little quest here to understand the Gospel of John. You've been looking at some words like signs and believe. You've been reading through John several times. I hope you keep reading through it. I want to give you some other things to look at here, another thread to follow. This one regarding the word life. It's recorded 50 times in the Gospel of John. Now you're going to add to that the word living. You're going to see that also in the Gospel of John, and that's going to come from the same Greek word. So throw that into your mix there and follow that. Now, I think this look at the word life is pretty relevant for us right now because none of us are living the life we thought we'd be living. Our lives never turn out the way we dream of them turning out to turn out to be. And this pandemic's just turned all of our lives upside down. And so there's a lot of things that are probably missing from your life that you wish were there. Well, it's a good time to spend some time with Jesus and spend some time with John and listen to what they have to say about life. You and I might find we have some different priorities if we listen to them. John, Jesus, they're going to challenge your assumptions about life. And I want to just kind of give you a taste of that here. If you look in John chapter 1, in the first four verses there, John talks about Jesus coming and being the Word that was God and was with God from the very beginning. He says, in him is life. If you want to find life, you got to find it in Jesus. If you look in John chapter 3, and verse 16, there's that verse we looked at last time we were together. For God so loved the world that he sent his only son, that whoever believes in him would have eternal life. Now, what does John mean by eternal life? You and I might have an idea about eternal life, but it may not be the same thing that John's talking about or that Jesus was talking about. So you and I should go back and spend some time with John trying to figure out what is eternal life. We kind of equate it with everlasting life. I'll give you a hint. That's not what John's talking about. Now, John chapter 4, Jesus met this woman at the well. Shared with you her story last week. Jesus promises her or offers her living water that can be like springs of water that will well up into eternal life. There's that idea again about eternal life. If you look over in John chapter 10, and verse 10, Jesus says to the people, and you and I should listen to him here. He says, he came to give life so that people can experience in its fullest form. That kind of sounds interesting to us. Well, what is the full life that Jesus is offering? You and I should look at that. If you look in John chapter 12 and verse 24 to 26, Jesus is talking to the people about his seed falling to the ground. He says if it just stays as it is, it's always going to be just one seed. But if it goes into the ground and dies, out of it will spring up new life, multiple life. And he's talking to people about following him and said, if you want to really experience life, you have to be willing to give up this one, to die, in order to experience real life. Now, that's a lot to get your head around, but you and I ought to. In John chapter 17, Jesus is praying to the Father before he's fixing to go die. And he says this to his Father, this is eternal life. Verse 3, this is eternal life, that people know you and they know me. That's a different idea about what eternal life is than what we might think. And finally, at the end, those verses in chapter 20, John says, Jesus performed many miracles, but these were written so that you might believe in Jesus, the Son of God, and have life. There's a lot in here about life, and it's going to look different than the life that you probably set your sights on. But if you and I listen to Jesus, but listen to John, we may come out of this pandemic with a healthier view of life than what we went into it with. So give that some thought. Look into this. Now, Wednesday, if you're willing to spend a little bit more time with me, more than 5 minutes, I'm going to read you another story based on a character Jesus met in the Gospel of John. Join me and see if you can figure out who that character is. And if you don't join me on Wednesday, I'll catch you on Friday, and we'll talk some more about this gospel. Enjoy this quest and be blessed. Thank you.